Good morning, children. Hope you all are doing well. Children, if you remember, in my previous video comprising of grammar part, I had explained about tenses and its kind and how the verbs functions in different tenses. In today's video, children, I would further move towards the remaining forms of tenses by explaining you about all these forms. As we know that the verbs come in three kinds of tenses, starting with continuous tense. Any kind of tense like past, present or future formed with an auxiliary verb or a helping verb be and a main verb ing gives the formation to a continuous tense. The verbs form can also come in simple continuous perfect or perfect continuous tense. Now the present perfect continuous is a verb tense which is used to show that an action which started has continued up to the present moment. Moving on to the next continuous tense is the past perfect continuous. Is a verb tense which is used to show that an action has happened in the past and has continued till that period. Now moving on to the future perfect tense. It's a verb tense which is used to show that an action will take place in the future and will continue. Now here I am going to explain you more about it in the form of a table. Children, now this table represents the verbs in different forms with the kind of tenses given. Now here the main verb is sing. Now when it comes to simple past tense, the verb changes. Sing becomes sang and the sentence is I sang, which is a simple past tense. Now sing remains a sing when it comes to simple present tense and the sentence is I sing. Now in the simple future tense, will is added in the sentence so as to represent it into a future tense and the sentence is I will sing, which is a simple future tense. Moving on now to continuous tense. Let us start with past continuous tense. Here ing is added with the main verb sing to make it singing and the helping verb or the auxiliary verb here is was. I was singing, which represents past continuous tense. Next is present continuous tense, whereas ing is added to the main verb sing and here am represents the helping verb or an auxiliary verb and the sentence here is I am singing, which is a present continuous tense. Moving on now to the future continuous tense, ing is added with the main verb to make it singing and will represents the future and be is the helping verb or an auxiliary verb. So the sentence is I will be singing, which is a future continuous tense. Now moving on to the perfect past tense. Here the sentence is I had sung. Sing changes into sung. Had is the helping verb or the auxiliary verb and the sentence is I had sung. Now present perfect tense. Here in this sentence sing changes into sung and the helping verb here is have to represent present tense and the sentence is I have sung, which is a perfect present perfect tense. Now moving on to future perfect tense. Will is added to represent the future tense and have is the helping verb, and the main verb sing again remains the same as sung. So children, here you must have observed that the main verb which changes into sung remains the same in all the three tenses, whereas the helping verb has changed in different forms. Now moving on to past perfect continuous tense. I had been singing. Here ing is added to sing to make it into a continuous tense. Had is a helping verb and been is a past participle of be. So the sentence here is I had been singing, which represents past perfect continuous tense. Now I have been singing. Here present perfect continuous tense, ing is added with a verb and it becomes singing. Have is the helping verb and been is the past participle of be, that is helping verb. So the sentence is I have been singing, which represents present perfect continuous tense. Moving on now to the future perfect continuous tense. ing is added with the main verb to make it into a continuous tense, and will is there to represent the future tense. Have is the helping verb or an auxiliary verb, and be is the past participle of be. So here the sentence is I will have been singing, which represents future perfect continuous. Children, in order to make you understand the tenses more clearly, I have done with the exercises given in the lesson. Now moving on to the exercise in which the question is read the sentences, underline the verbs and state their tenses. Starting with I watched an interesting movie last night. So here in this sentence, last night itself represents an action which has taken place earlier, and watched here is a verb which is derived from the main verb, that is watch. Ed has been added with the word watch to represent it in the form of a past tense. I watched an interesting movie last night is a past tense. I write every day. Write is a verb here and it has remained the same, and every day tells us that it is happening each and every day. So it is in the present form. So I write every day tells us that this action is in the present tense. Moving on to question number 3. After reading the book, she kept it in the cupboard. Here the main verb is kept, which is derived from the word keep, and it has changed into the past tense, that is kept. So the sentence represents a past tense. After reading the book, she kept it in the cupboard. Now moving on to the 4th sentence. I shall have been walking. Here walking is derived from the verb walk, and I shall have represents future perfect continuous, because ing has been added with walk and will has changed into shall, and have represents the perfect tense. So the sentence is future perfect continuous tense. Now moving on to the 5th sentence. I had been sleeping when you came in. Had tells us about the perfect tense. ing has been added with a main verb to make it into a continuous form. So here the sentence is past perfect continuous tense. Children, I have done with the exercises given in the textbook so that it is easy for you to understand how the verbs changes its form in all the kinds of tenses. Now moving on to the paragraph here. Ravi spotted an unidentified baggage on the conveyor belt at the airport. Here the verb spot becomes spotted. Surprisingly, nobody claimed it. The verb form claim has changed into claimed. He eyed the black bag suspiciously till the last passenger went out through the exit gate. Here, the verb form of I becomes eyed and go becomes went. Gingerly, Ravi approached the security personnel with his fears. Here, the verb form of approach turns into approached. Within minutes, the sniffing dogs were let loose with the bomb squad. Now here, the verb form approach becomes approached. The team took necessary steps for the safety of the passengers. Here, the verb take gets changed into took. The staff and the passengers vacated the airport. Here, the verb form of vacate becomes vacated. The bomb squad opened the bag only to find a pair of pajamas inside. Here the verb form open changes into opened. The pajamas belong to the captain of an aircraft that flew to Chennai that morning. Here the verb form fly changes into flew. The airport authorities lauded Ravi's guts with a smile. So here the verb form laud becomes lauded. Now I think children, now you are clear with the past tense form of verbs. Now children, this exercise comprises of irregular verbs. Let us see what are irregular verbs. Now irregular verbs are those verbs whose simple past and participles are formed in variety of ways. Varieties of ways means it is in different form. Let us see once. The verb begin, when it comes under simple present tense, changes into began when it comes in simple past tense, and it changes as begun when it comes under a past participle. The next verb here is give, which has changed its form as gave when it comes to simple past tense, and becomes given when it comes to past participle. So children, you might have observed that in this table the spelling of these verbs has changed. Now moving on to the next verb, grow, becomes grew when it comes to a simple past tense, and again this verb grow changes into grown when it comes to a past participle. Now the next verb is blow, which changes into blew in the simple past tense, and again it changes into grown when it comes to a past participle. Now moving on to the next verb, blow changes into blew when it comes to a simple past tense, and again changes its form into blown when it comes to past participle. Now moving on to be, which we all know is a helping verb, changes into was when it comes into a simple past tense, and again this helping verb changes into been when it comes to past participle. Now moving on to the last verb, that is arise, it becomes arose when it comes into a simple past tense, and again this verb arise changes into arisen when it comes to a past participle. Now see children, the spellings of all the verbs keeps changing. So that is the reason why they are called irregular verbs, because they have formed in a varieties of way in the given table. Now children, I would like you all to complete the above solved exercises in your rough notebook as homework. Thank you children. Stay home, stay safe.